Now on the economy. The outlook for the American economy continues to get brighter and brighter under the leadership of President Biden and Democrats here in the Congress. Last week, a report showed that consumer sentiment surged by nearly 30% over the last 2 months. And Americans received even more good news this week. The American economy far exceeded expectations in the last quarter of 2023, growing at a rate of 3.3% and avoiding even a hint of a recession. The hard right predicted that Democrats' investments would drive our country to a recession. But today, American families are seeing more money in their pockets, low unemployment, and inflation cooling down. The bottom line is that the American economy is headed in the right direction, thanks to Democrats investing in our infrastructure, increasing manufacturing through chips and science, and lifting our country from crisis through the American Rescue Plan. And I'm proud to say in all three, Senate Democrats, whether in the minority or majority, played a leading role. The economy is now on an upswing, so much so that Republicans and even the former president are trying to take credit. After the Dow Jones and S&P hit record highs last week, Donald Trump deployed a spin job for the ages, calling it the Trump stock market. You can't make that up. 4 years ago, Donald Trump predicted the stock market would crash if he lost the election. Well, Donald Trump did lose the election. But today, the stock market is setting record highs. It's both laughable and very telling that Donald Trump is trying to take credit for the successes of President Biden and the congressional Democrats. Donald Trump knows his disastrous and chaotic record can't stand scrutiny against the jobs, increased wages, and investments secured by Democrats. And of course, Donald Trump is hardly the only Republican taking credit for Democrats' successes. Around the country, scores of congressional Republicans are attending groundbreakings. They're going to ribbon-cutting ceremonies and factory openings for projects they voted against in Congress, but the Democrats in the House and Senate prevailed. Last week, a Minnesota GOP congressman shared the announcement of $1 billion for a new bridge in his district, saying he was proud to have worked with my Minnesota and Wisconsin congressional colleagues to secure this critical investment. There's only one problem. 2 years ago, this very GOP member voted against the infrastructure bill that provided these funds, stating at the time, "I will not be complicit in paving a destructive and irreversible path towards socialism." Well, there he was at the bridge. There he was at the bridge. A few days later, another GOP congresswoman from Florida tried to take credit on air for $40 million in funding that came from bills she voted against in Congress, including the CHIPS and Science bill, which I was proud to have authored. I hope she'll give me a pat on the back. When pressed on her voting record, her excuse was she didn't remember her vote. This is going to be a pattern we're going to see all year long. Without any accomplishments on their own to talk about, Republicans in the House and Senate will try to take credit for jobs and investments they opposed in Congress. Well, that's the difference, Mr. President, between the Democratic and Republican agenda. Democrats are working hard to lower costs, increase wages, and fuel economic growth, while Republicans are creating chaos and then taking credit for our work. If Republicans want to keep claiming credit, I encourage them, work with us, pass bipartisan legislation, and then you can proudly go to these events without contradiction. We still have a long way to go to make our economy work better for families, so there'll be plenty of opportunities for Republicans to work with us. I yield the floor.